just coming up in around about 4 minutes' time. Round 9 of the FIS World Cup cross-country tour. We're back in Scandinavia. It's a cool morning. It's been pretty cold overnight, and don't expect much this weekend above 0, which means the sunglasses will be dispensed with and the hats will stay on. But there will be a lot of action coming up here from Falun. Just a couple of minutes to go before we start the qualification rounds. 56 women attempting to get into the finals a little later on. We already know who the favourites are. So Ian Woods and Posey Musgrave covering these races with you over the weekend. Once again, it's classic individual sprints. 1.3 kilometre loop. Actually, I think it's 1.4, slightly longer. Always is 1.4 here in Falun. Nice to see some of the locals. There'll be a lot of yellow and gold around today. Of course, the crowds here itching to see, well, of course, first of all, their superstar sprint women, but one or two of the younger Swedish males starting to threaten Norway once again. Here's a quick look at the course. It is essentially 2 hills with a tiny little bump before the finish, and it's a long double pole session into the finish, Posey. I always think here in Falun, it always feels like people go a little early and they pay for it if they go too hard on that home straight.
It's a really tricky course to get right. Those hills are tough, but there's a lot of, we'll see some tactics when we get through to the heats of how best to sort of attack them, because you can really jump in the draft. And then we find, as you say, it is so long when you get into the stadium. You think, oh, it must be done. But it's a lot of double poling up to that little bump, and then you've got a long way back to the finish as well. So we will see those who have some good stamina, even for a sprint, to get through all of that section.
So classic sprints again, Posey. It's classic sprints in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's around about the 4th of March, actually, when we get to the sprint races for the World Championships. So another opportunity just to test the team's form and condition before the World Championships. Most of the selections for the team's already made. What do you think? Perhaps 1 or 2 final places yet to be decided?
I think certainly teams will have their squads selected, which is the sort of bigger number. But to actually have those sort of 4 final spots, each country will get 4 starts on the start line at World Champs. I think there's maybe still a little bit up in the air for that.
So, yeah, just spotted. It's actually 27th of February is the sprints, and I think it's maybe the team sprints. So, freestyle sprint races in Trondheim. Now, why did I think it was classic? Well, that's kind of good news, actually, I think, for the British boys. Couple of minutes to go. Very last few moments then before the 56 female athletes get underway, representing 14 nations here in Falun. First to go, wearing bib number 1, and that typical sky blue race suit is Eva Urvic of Slovenia, 29-year-old. She's had 3 podiums in her career and only 1 win. That was a team sprint. And of course, you'll remember Anna Maria Lampitz paired with Urevich. That was 3-4 years ago now, though, Posey. Actually, he was here in Sweden, in Ulricehamn. Janatova, though, of Czechia, first of the seeded athletes, 8th overall. This is her best season by far. 5 top 10 results already this year. Leah Fischer of Switzerland comes from Bern. Hasn't qualified in the top 30 this season at all. 32nd in La Rousse, just 2 tenths off the pace. Sophie Krehl next. It's thick and fast here, 15-second intervals. 29-year-old from Oberstdorf, 18th in the sprint standings and has qualified for every World Cup so far this year. Next is her teammate, Dietz of Germany. She has only qualified once so far this year, and that was in Engadin, and she finished that day in 25th. Here's the first of the Swedes, Posey.
Yeah, home favourite as well. Maja Dahlqvist skis for the Falun Ski Club as well, and I think she's been on absolutely brilliant form recently. She said, I think winning Cologne, she said, I can't believe it's been 4 years since I've last won. We're so used to seeing her on the podium, but it'd been a while since she had that win. So I think it's good to get the chance to see the course as well as she heads out here. We can see a little bit of an uphill there as they get out of the stadium, and again you get the first feel of how long this stadium is, because it takes them quite a long time to get out of it before they get to those hills, and quite a long time back in. So I think it'll be one of the longer sprints that we see on the course this year.
It's a tough start, isn't it? You got that long climb out of the stadium, it is gradual uphill, then you have this little kick uphill which is also tough, and you have to take pretty aggressively. It's not downhill here as such, it's still a bit of a climb, a little flat, and then this is probably the climb up to the highest point, I think.
Yeah, this is up to the highest point here, so you've got a reasonable climb. You can see, we just see Anna Maria Dietz, the skier, in front, nearly at the top of the climb there. So really important again, just to maintain the aggression on here. So you can see she's cutting in. It's a very wide course as well, so she's cutting in to try and get the best line through that corner, take it nice and tight over the top, and then you've got to be pretty aggressive on this downhill. You want to keep your speed going, because you're going to come down the hill, as we'll see in a second, and then you're straight back into the next uphill. So you want to maintain that speed as much as possible through this downhill section.
So over the years we've seen people take this badly on this corner, and 1 or 2, but it's a little slower today. I think with it being so cold, it's possibly going to be less challenging on that bend. Dahlqvist just closing the gap now on Dietz of Germany. So let's have a look at the time. 2:04. That's not the finish, obviously. That's Fischer coming through there. Not quite finished. No one has crossed the line yet. Here we go. We're at the finish now. So quickest time last year at the end of the season was a teammate of Hagström and Dahlqvist. It was Jonas Sundling. She did 3:10. So expect this time to be beat for sure. But it is slow in comparison.
Yeah, it's a long course. 3:43 is one of the longer ones we're going to see on the circuit this year, and it makes so much difference. Snow conditions can really kind of push it one way or another. That's a good time from Fischer coming in there. 2.5 seconds up on Janatova. Keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Here's Sophie Krehl, and it's going to be right on the line. I think she's going to get green. She isn't. Just outside, 1 second behind Leah Fischer.
I think we can see already that Dahlqvist, you can see the 2 skiers coming in together there. There's Dahlqvist taking over Dietz. So she's taken 15 seconds out of Dietz, which is pretty good going in a qualifier. So this is going to be a really strong time from Dahlqvist.
So, okay, so 3:24, I think, 23, is it? 3:23, so it's a good 13, 14 seconds slower than it was back in March. It was a lovely day in March, much warmer, so you'd expect the snow to be quicker. Possibly, though, better, easier conditions for getting the skis right.
It's quite interesting looking at when we saw Dahlqvist going around the hills there. Although it's been really cold overnight, it looked quite sugary, so it actually looked like it was chopping up a little bit already. And I suspect that's because there's quite a bit of man-made snow in there. So as we can see, this is a good view as we see Shistad coming. You can see all the snow that she's sort of kicking up as she goes over the hill there. A lot of sugar on the course, and I think that's quite slow. So although it's cold, lots of man-made snow, and that doesn't always hold down quite so well, and that can slow things up.
Here's Kalinen just coming in. Over 10 years now since she had her best results, but still proving herself to be a worthy contender in the Finnish team. Here's Canton of France. That's not a bad time. 6 seconds down on Dahlqvist at the moment.
Yeah, we missed Hagström coming in as well, who was bib number 8, who, again, has been on really good form this season. So she's just half a second behind Dahlqvist. So she's the Dahlqvist and Hagström strongest of the times of the minute so far, but plenty of other skiers to come in still.
Janssen has come past teammate Bakamo. And here goes Jessie Diggins. A little bit of a break. She's had a little rest, which usually means Jessie Diggins, if there's any fizz gone out of the top of the bottle, it's all back by the time we arrive here in Sweden. Baranova of Czechia. And here comes Shistad. This is good, actually. Often doesn't get the quickest time, but the fact that she's so close to the best of the Swedes so far at least, will encourage her.
I think so, and she's very canny. She's all about conserving energy through the qualifying and the route, and so it often feels like a risky strategy not to go all out in the qualifier because you don't want to risk not making that top 30 cut-off, but she seems to be able to kind of manage it quite well, so she doesn't qualify the fastest necessarily, but she has energy left for those rounds. That's a good time from Joensuu coming through.
Yeah. Once again, I know I keep harping back to it, but she's been so consistent this year, Posey, and
she has, and she's fast
I
at
keep
qualifying.
expecting her to dip now at this time of year, but no, she's doing really well. She'll be ahead of Julie Muir. So the Finn currently holds the quickest time as Norway's Julie Muir crosses the line. Another Finn just coming in. Matintalo, wearing bib number 19. This is also a pretty good time. The Finns, they were good way back at the start of the World Cup in Ruka. Classic sprints back then.
Yeah, back on, not home turf, of course, because we're in Sweden, not Finland, but I don't know if there's something about being back in Scandinavia and those conditions suiting them a little bit more. This is a strong showing so far from the Finns.
Yeah, we've left all the altitude behind for the year. None of that to worry about. Higgins nearly 6 seconds off the pace at this point. Julie Kern comes across the line in 7th. Decent gap back to Mervold. Actually, this is Victoria Karl. There's Mervold behind her.
So very spread out so far today. I know we've still got a lot of skiers to come in because we're only on bib 23, but we're seeing gaps of 7 seconds back to 10th place at the moment. And I think partly that is because this course is longer. We're looking at 3:19 for the fast one, so it's sort of 10 or so seconds longer than what we'd seen in Les Rousses and Cognes.
Just got a quick shot of Lynn Swan, who I just get the impression is possibly the hungriest athlete here in Falun this weekend.
Yeah, interested to see. We haven't seen her for a couple of rounds. She's had a bit of a rest, some time to recover after the Tour de Ski and do some training. So she wasn't in any of the World Cups since the Tour. So possibly nice and fresh, raring to go before the World Championships.
Diggins comes in the top 10 as it stands, and Diggins is, let's see, there's only 2 other seeded athletes behind her. Nadine Feindrich in 28. Here comes Castle in 27th of Italy. Well, that's not bad from Kassel. So Feindrich will be next, and then Stenseth in 30 is the last seeded athlete. Of course, Lynn Svan, never mind the seeds, here she comes. Feindrich is going to qualify, I think, unless there's any big surprises in the bottom half. But Lynn Svan, fantastic, that is good. 1.5 seconds up on Yeonsu, who leads the World Cup standings in the sprint category.
Yeah, that's the kind of form we were seeing from Svan last year. She was pretty dominant last year by the end of the season, and I kind of expected her to come back in and do the same. Just think of the last of those seeds qualifying there. That sends it down to 21st. So.
21st, 11:10. So at the end of the season last year in Sweden, quickest was 3:10. That was Sundling. The slowest was 3:26. So a good, 16-second gap, and that was a bigger field, I think, than we have today. Nesbitt of Canada just scrapes in now. We start to notice who are the ones. We can see on the graphics on the left, bib number 1, Urovic, is out. There we go. And gets pushed out by Nadine Laurent of Italy. So it's Dietz next, bib number 5, holding her breath. And Hansen of Sweden, not in a national team race suit, but so close. Just fails. Here comes Henriksen.
There's always a few surprises, I think, from the back numbers, and particularly when we're in Sweden, you have such depth, because the home nation will get those extra start spots as well. So could be a few surprises later on who manage to sneak into that qualifying.
Viva of Canada, well, we think she's likely to get pushed out, but that's not a bad result. She's at that 16-second mark. 1 or 2 athletes ahead of her further back on the course. Colours of Estonia. And you can get a sense from the gaps that we may get 1 or 2 coming through now. Bianco of USA, look at the positions tumble away. Can she get inside? Well, she does for now, but that's about to change, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. I think this is looking pretty good from Sam Smith.
Oh, that's a really encouraging result from Sam. Really struggled out in Chilpario a week ago at the Junior World Championships, having been a medalist in Planitza the year before, and moved up to the older category, but not a good event last week for Sam. Okay, so this is Elin Henriksen of Sweden. She will qualify and will push the Canadian out into 31st position. Kaidi Kasiku, sister's already finished and has not qualified. And Kaidi will also fail, sadly. Next is Sonia Schmidt of Canada. 4th in Engadin earlier on this year. But it's not going to be a good day for Sonia.
I think she's still got a little bit of work to go on that classic skiing to get it to the level that we've seen in her skates. So I'd like to have seen her qualify today, but I think that was that's probably not as surprising as we might expect.
I think Ebba Stenman, yeah, that was a Finnish suit for a second. I was a little confused, but Stenman off the pace. And next is Kate Oldham. So we're already down to, well, it's below 16 seconds now. Olsen of Sweden.
She's going to be close to sneaking in here, just outside.
No, and Comarella of Italy, the gap is too big back to Comarella. Nora Bremer of Sweden, another of the Swedish athletes not in the standard suit that we recognize so easily, but brilliant opportunity for some of the slightly lesser known Swedish athletes to get an opportunity to race in a World Cup, and not only that, but to race in Falun on this course that they've grown up watching their heroes usually win, certainly the women's field. Evelina Cressel now, gap just too big. I think you need about 4 seconds from the 25-meter point to cross the line in a qualifying position. Here's Henriksson of Sweden. I don't think it's going to happen. It isn't.
No, just outside as well. So we're looking at about 14 seconds behind to be qualifying. So as you say, by the time they get into this home straight here where you hit the markers, you have to, if you're already at 10 seconds there, it's going to be too late. Last couple of skiers out on course. That means those people that are sitting in 28th, 29th, 30th could start to hope that they might qualify.
Well, Marielle Pullers of Estonia can, I think, start to relax now, and looks like she may get at least one more race today, as of course the format changes totally. It's one of the reasons we love the sprint races. Short, painful time trial to start with. 3.5 minutes of all-out effort, and if you're good at that, you get to then go head-to-head later on in the quarters, semis, and all being well, the final. Top 30 go through. There's the last couple of finishers now appearing in the home straight. Phoebe Cridland comes across in 53rd. And last finish will be Tuva Bygrave, also of Australia, and pushes Cridland down one more slot. Well, that's it. So it is Marielle Pullers who hangs in there in 30th place, and in a little while is the only one who will get no choice as to which of the quarter-final groups she will end up racing in. And my guess is she'll get the best group, which of course is always Group 1.
Group number 1, the best. So it's good skiing from Lynn Span there, taking that first spot ahead of Yuensu. And those two, a good gap. We should see the results coming up shortly. Yeah, so those two, a good gap in front of Dahlqvist in 3rd place.
So she started, as you say, Posey, never really too concerned about being quickest. Always looks like she's holding back. Even in the racing, to be fair, she always looks like she's holding back right till the end. That's her strategy, isn't it?
She's so good. I think there's not that many people on the, not so many of the women are willing to be that tactical. We know that the Swedes like to just go fast and keep the pace high and see who can hold on. But she starts happy to just, you know, be a little tactical, be a bit canny, hang behind, let others do the work, and then use that pure speed that she's got to get through the rounds.
Well, it is racecraft, isn't it? Once we get to the sprints, it's all about racing, not time trials. Well, it's a good start for Sweden. Maja Dahlqvist went off in bib number 6. Only the 3rd, I think. In fact, she wasn't even seeded today, was she? No, she was. She was the 3rd of the seeded athletes. Look at that lovely, long, powerful diagonal stride up these steep hills. It is a wonderful course to watch classic skiing in here, whether you're viewing it on a screen as we all are, or actually out there on the course. Yeonsu of Finland once again. I wonder if she woke up this morning thinking, do I still have that form that I've had all year? She's a tough fighter from Finland, and we'll expect now to be in the final. Certainly in the last 30. And here is Lynn Svan, who I'm gonna put my 15 pence on the table, Posey, as is to match yours. And I'm going to put Lynn Svan down as someone who has been disappointed this year, but in many ways that disappointment has forced her to have to put all of her focus on this World Cup, which of course is really just a warm-up for the World Championships.
I think so. And it seems mad that she's not even seeded, and that shows the kind of season that she's had, where it's been some disappointing results before Christmas, a couple of unlucky races and falls, and then of course choosing to take a few weeks off. But you just, so consistent last year and so dominant that it's hard to imagine that she's not even in the seeds now, but that's where we are. But it also shows sometimes those things don't count for too much when you've got that kind of pedigree.
Yeah, indeed. She won't care about the seeding. She just cares about winning today here in Falun. Jess Diggins goes in, I think it was heat 4. Gives herself a big break now and a shorter break once the qualifications, the quarterfinals, are concluded. Next is Sweden's Lundgren.
She's got heat 1.
Impressive. She starts.
Heat number 1.
Goes in 1. Confident. I think if she chose any other heat, we'd be wondering, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
But goes in 1 as anticipated. Yeonsu next. Will she go 1? So she's up against Lundgren and Skistad. I reckon maybe. Will she go with teammate Matintalo?
I think she'll go with heat 2 and leave Svan to take heat 1 with Skistad.
Oh,
no. Oh,
yes, that's
was
good.
Wrong. Yeah.
We like that. We like that. Now Lynn Svan. She goes in heat number 2.
I think that was actually smart. Normally I would expect Svan to go in heat 1, but I think she looked at that and thought, you know what? I can give myself an easier life if I go in heat 2 and not have a huge amount of difference in that recovery time. So again, the benefit of being the number 1 and seeing where everyone else is selected before.
Are they already working out which are going to be the fast loops, the fast quarters, do you think? They're already looking, Diggins is in 4, she'll push the pace.
Yeah, I think she'll have looked and said, well, look, there's only one of the top 12 who's gone in heat 2, that's Matintalo. Matintalo's fast, but I'm confident with the speed that I had that I'm going to be in, I could be in the top 2 there.
Mm-hmm. Sam Smith, wouldn't it be great for her? It'd be a great sign that she's got the timing right this year, if, based on races in Italy at the Junior World Champs a week ago. Wasn't good, but that could be just she was very tired, the load in training, preparing for the World Championships. And then you taper, and we might start to see this week in some of these races signs of that luxurious tapering period where you get to rest a little more, keep the quality up, but just do less. And to be fair, the racing themselves, the races become the quality work that you do in preparation. Nadine Findrich of Switzerland doesn't have an awful lot. Well, she's got lots of information in front of her now, but she decides to go in heat 4 with Jess Diggins, and probably will therefore sit on the heels of Diggins for the whole loop, knowing that she could probably sprint past her at the end. Depends what form Diggins on, really, but Henriksson of Sweden goes with Hagström, her buddy from Sweden. Lara Gimler joins them in heat 5.
Thank you.
At this stage, the athletes that are remaining to select, they probably stood here 5 minutes ago thinking, I would really like to go in such and such group, but at this stage now, they've just got to weigh up who is where. They know one or two that will be virtually guaranteed to go through.
And there is then that question of which heats do you think are going to be fast? Because if you think you're going to struggle to get into the top two, you know, you might go for that tactic of, we've said that with heat 1 often, you know, if you've got the likes of Sunling in there, we don't this week, we've got Skistad, but Yuensu had a blisteringly fast time. Maybe you go, well, that could be fast, so that could be my route through instead. There's always kind of multiple levels you've got to work through here.
Natova, she has 3 groups that she could choose from. She goes in the, she's taking your advice once again and taking heat 1, looking to qualify quickest, even if Skistad and Yuensu and possibly Lundgren are ahead of her. And Sova goes in heat 2, and 1 athlete, as we predicted, is left with heat number 1. That's it, job done. It's taken less than 30 minutes, but we're ready for the women's finals later on today. Next will come the men's qualification. Okay, coming up in just a moment or two, the men's qualification. Well, of course, going on further south is the Alpine Skiing World Championships. And a little later on, we will be back with them on Eurosport 1 for the men's giant slalom. Conditions down in Central Europe. Perfect for racing today, so join us later on Eurosport 1 for the Alpine World Championships coming up. For now, though, it's a little calmer up here in Falun. The men have 3 or 4 minutes, a little longer if you're in bib number 62. 3 or 4 minutes before the first of the athletes get away. Pellegrino in disguise with a lot of facial covering there, but you may just be able to tell from the way he skis. He's such a powerful, unique, relatively small athlete. Also coming up later on today, the Falun World Championships are taking place. available in the mixed relay, and it's the women's sprint race today. Once again, back to the job in hand here in Falun in Sweden. It's the men's sprint classic qualification coming up. By far the biggest crowd of supporters, as you would expect, here in Falun, wearing yellow gold t-shirts supporting the Swedish athletes.
It looks like the crowds are definitely starting to come out as we get through this qualification and towards the finals as well. So everyone's waking up and getting out of bed and coming over to the track.
Hard-packed snow. We've seen signs, haven't we, Posey, of this course. Let's get another quick look at it. So it's effectively two big hills. I love the way this course is laid out. It's great for spectators. A tiny little bump before the finish. I think that's been lowered a little bit. I don't know if I'm imagining that. It always looked a little bigger in the past.
Bigger. Certainly
it will feel bigger. Yeah, a little artificial climb, really, isn't it? But of course, yeah. So around about -9. It's been colder than that overnight, obviously, and we're not expecting the sun to break through. Maybe just about early afternoon, but it's going to be a cold day and a fairly cold weekend here in Falun after all the warm sunshine we've enjoyed down in Konya and Engadin and Val di Fiemme in the last month or so. So the men's start list on your screen: 79 starters from 23 nations. Number 46 is Great Britain's Andrew Young.
We've got 2 Brits on the start line today. No James Clooney, who we've been seeing regularly in the sprints before. So Jimmy, I think, just not been doing so well in the classic sprints anyway, so choosing to sit out and train up ahead of the World Championships. But we've got Gabe Gledhill on the start line off the back of a really good couple of races at under 23s.
It was, and it was the 20k mass start actually last week in Sculpario that he got a top 20 position, only bettered actually by Great Britain's Tabby Williams, who was 19th in the same race for the women. But that was, I'm pretty sure that was classic. My memory, it was classic indeed, yeah. So the time trial individual race, distance race, was freestyle. But a good result for Gabe a week ago in the 20 classic mass start, 20th place. Okay, countdown to the first of the men getting away. It's Xander McMullen of the USA. He'll be chased out by this man, Evan Northug. 15 seconds gap. Edwin Anger back in bib number 4. The crowd will be demanding results from this young man. The pressure on those big young shoulders is huge. Xander McMullen, though, first away, 23-year-old from the USA. No Ben Ogden today, Posey, which is a bit of a surprise. Xander McMullen, best result he's had was right at the start of the year, actually. First World Cup in Ruka, that was 7th in the 20k. The best of the Americans, actually only a second ahead of his teammate Gus Schumacher. Here's Evan Northug of Norway, 3rd in Konya. Won the team sprint this year with Valnius in Konya. But his best individual result was in Val di Fiemme, which was a 2nd as well. Simonec of Slovenia. Best result this year was 8th in Lillehammer. That was in the sprints, but it was freestyle. Next away, Edvin Anger of Sweden has won a classic sprint this year.
Hear the crowd waking up as well as he gets out of the start line there. I think he'll have support the whole way around, and I think we should certainly see him qualifying with ease today, but really interested to see how he gets on, and of course he's going to know like the back of his hands.
One win to his name in the sprints, and the only big factor was that Klæbo was not there. He wants that win. Yeah, that was strong, wasn't it? That was impressive.
Yeah, it's almost, again, it's just about on those short hills, just looking like you're able to keep that momentum going. And it almost looks like there was a bit hill there. He was able to keep the speed and then so smoothly back into the tracks as he got up to the top as well. Just behind 2 minutes there, but nice fast tempo, really fast tempo, very aggressive as he's going up the hill there. So some of the women jumping out of the tracks, but he's stayed in the tracks right to the top, and that was just to cut through and again get that tight line as he heads into the downhill section.
Well, Klæbo, I was going to say his nemesis. I don't think Klæbo considers Anger his nemesis, but I think it may be fair to think that Anger considers Klæbo his nemesis. He's out in bib number 8, so it won't be long before, after Anger crosses the line, that he'll be able to work out how his form is compared to the number 1 in the world. How's he comparing at the moment with Evan Northug? It's very good.
Really good, yeah. Strong that. Again, just nice change between the different techniques into the herringbone with the V shape in the skis. Only very briefly and then quickly back into a few more strides and then over the hill.
Now, as he came around the top of that hill there, Posey, he looked so strong coming up the hill, but then I think there was just a conscious relaxation as he went around the top of that bend. Something about knowing you've got just a little bit left. Well, here we are. Xander McMullen is coming in to the finish. The quickest time in March earlier on last year was Valnes, actually, 2:48. So a good 15 seconds slower for McMullen. And, yeah, well.
2:55 there for Northug, so good time from Northug, but we'll see how this man stacks up.
At this, well, he's behind Anger. Lovely technique around that corner.
But they are very different. I think again, Klæbo's got that Klæbo clop, as we call it, that way that he runs up the hill, and a little smaller in stature and not quite as Anger goes for the strength, I think, doesn't he? So they look different, but they're both very effective. There's more than one way to get around the course.
Yeah. Well, Anger takes first place, 2:53 as it stands. Anton Sear of Canada stuck around in Konya, actually, after the World Cup to do a marathon race out there and won that. I mean, we say marathon, it was 30 Ks. It would be a marathon for most people. Here's Vuorinen, 20th overall, and 8th in the sprint. So he's doing well. 2nd last year, actually, in the final of the World Cup stages.
And again, I'm just looking at the Moilanen coming, so next one of the Finns. In the women's, the Finns did pretty well, and I think they like classic. We tend to see as a team they do better. Here's Klæbo coming in. Save something for the end.
Wow. So about nearly 5 seconds quicker than Edvin Anger from the highest point.
Yeah, good skis, but good technique on those downhill sections. Can always find all of the bumps, all of the best way through the bumps. And I think just pace it to perfection, as we see him do so often.
Let's alert down on Klæbo, and I think Emil Danielsen is going to be as well. Sure is. Next is Elia Barp of Italy, who has often been paired with Pellegrino in the team sprints this year. It's not looking great for Elia Barp this morning. Finishes down in 8th. He'll be a little frustrated by that.
We've got a lot of skiers to go as well. We've got a bigger field in the men, 79 competitors, and I think that time may struggle to stick. Moilanen a little better there, coming in 6th position.
Remy Bourdon of France next, the first of the French athletes to go out and come back in. He's Vicar of Norway, Goes through in 9th place, so halfway down the field of finishers or athletes that have crossed that point. Here's Eric Valnes, who had the quickest time here back in March. He's in 2nd behind Klæbo today.
I think he'll take that. Pretty good. Less than 2 seconds behind Klæbo. Yeah, that's all you need to do. You know you've qualified now. You can go and have a little bit of rest and recovery and start to think about those quarterfinals.
Jensen, bib number 15, comes in 9th. This is Schoenmaker of the USA. So I mentioned Ben Ogden, no sign of him today. Let's hope he's fitting well. It would be such a shame to not have an on-form Ben Ogden entertaining us next week. Here's Zach Ketterson, teammate of Ogden, comes through in 6th. That's a pretty good time. Oscar Vick next. This is looking pretty good as well. Still only 22, I think, Oscar Vick of Norway.
There's always more
another
coming
Oscar
through the pipeline, isn't there? Always more.
Here's the Swedish Oscar Svensson.
It'll be a little bit of a way down here. You want to be within 10 seconds or so, and he's just inside that. I think that will be a nervous wait.
Jan Stobel of Germany. A relatively young athlete, just 24 years old, I think. One of the seeded Germans. Ekstrom of Sweden. And this is he would have wanted a little better than that, I think. Next is Pellegrino, and this is going to look good enough. If he's in the top 10 at this stage, and he is, you would expect, I think, as we start to get towards the end of the seeded athletes. Shanavar is in bib number 28, and second to last of the seeded athletes.
Yeah, it looks good. Not quite as, I was hard to say, not quite as good as Klæbo. I don't think anyone does. Klæbo just got a little bit more bound going over the hill there, but nice and controlled from Shanavar over the top.
There you go. Watch the times disappear now. 22nd, and he's only bib number 24. That look suggests he's going to be anxious. Chapaz of France looking comfortably inside the anticipated qualification time now. Ansgar Evanson was just behind him. We'll look out for his time coming through. Here's Gabriele of Italy. Got work to do. He's got work to do. Distinct difference between the amount of just the stride that someone like
it's the
Klæbo,
pop, it's the pop and the energy they have as they get to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Those slightly slower sleeves are almost just feel like they're struggling to keep that speed over the top. Klæbo Anger just able to maintain it nicely.
Shanavar coming in towards the finish line is looking reasonably good. 7:71 off the pace of Klæbo. You'd normally expect on a course this long and relatively slow for that to be good. Jonimäki of Finland is next, and this also looks reasonably good. What is he? Top half, just outside top half of the field. Benny Moser of Austria now.
Looking good. Moser's had a couple of good qualifiers recently. He hasn't quite sort of translated that yet to getting all the way through to the finals, but he's certainly improving.
Giacomo Gabrielli of Italy. Doesn't look like he has far to go, but the numbers just vanish in that last 10 meters. Austria's Michael Fottinger is next. At this stage, you see 4, 5, 6, and you think, yep, it's looking good, but then watch what happens in the last 10, 15 meters. Bib number 32 of it was, what did I say? 79 starters. Pierre Graal Johnson.
Outside as well at the moment. It's a shame for him.
Kevin Bolger of USA. This is going to be okay. He's going to get inside. He does.
First, I think he should be feeling okay about that at the moment.
40 is Theo Shelley of France. Not seeded. We're well past the seeded athletes now.
That was actually quite nice over the top. Again, it's tricky that it's steep just for a very short section, that hill. So you lose the kind of speed that you have, but you have to try and get that back as quickly as you can and take something into the downhill section. So he looks good. This looks
very good
really
from
good.
Yuri Tuz, isn't it? 4th place.
Yeah, fantastic.
Once again, the Czechian athletes are coming. They always show so much promise, and then it seems that they get to the finals, semi-finals, finals, and then the tactics. Here's Xavier McKeever of Canada, still only 22 years of age. He's inside the top 30 at the moment, and that's good. I'm delighted to see McKeever. Who is this that took a dive? Wasn't one of the Swedish athletes, no.
Might have been one of the Swedes. Didn't see
Here he is.
There he is.
This is not good. This is bib number 30. Or was it 39? Must be Olaf Jonsson, 39. His day has concluded with that slightly embarrassing face plant. Done it myself so many times. I know you have too, Posey, so don't pretend. Nevertheless, we are sorry to see him go out.
Yeah, you do get good speed on that hill, I have to say, and the snow is a little sugary today, which means if you catch an edge in those sort of deeper bits, it's easily done, but he'll be furious about that.
This is Vili Shriv of Slovenia. Will not be good enough for further participation today. Let's have a look. So Andrew Young started bib number 46. He's behind Hakala. Oh, he's ahead of Hakala, isn't he? So this is 49.
Yeah, so Andrew's 46, so he'll be back in the stadium just now. Oh, to keep those hips forward, keep everything up the hill, keep that going. That was actually quite smooth in the end, and this is just out of sight. That's where Jonsson will have come unstuck. There's a little bit of a sort of flick to the right and then back to the left as you go into the stadium where Jonsson came unstuck that we saw earlier.
Murphy Kimball of the USA there going absolutely flat out. Still only 19 years old. Linanga at this point was the quickest, but we know Klabo is just a genius, a magician. There's Andy Young coming in, bib number 46.
Down in 41st place.
And what was his time, Rosie?
He was 3:05, so 14 seconds off the pace. Would have needed to be 3:01 at the moment to be qualifying.
Right. Only a 10-second gap in March between 1st and 30th.
Where we are at the moment, just one. You can see it on the screen as well here. We've got Ansgar Evanson sitting in 30th. Now that will be a surprise if he doesn't get through. So don't know if he had a bit of a...
Well, Kimball's going to push him out, actually, yeah. Posey. This is a great result for the youngster from the USA. So Ansgar Evanson goes out. Look at that. He is thrilled with that. And Persson may also push out Marcus Gratte of Sweden down into 31st. He does. It's always a bit of a feather in your cap if you're racing in a club suit and you push down one of the Swedish national team members.
Really good one as well from Ericsson there.
Oh, well. Good for them.
Our local skier, he's from the Falun Ski Club. That's those kind of orange colours they've got, so should have had plenty of practice on this course.
to build a cross-country ski track in just outside Windermere, Posey, so I can make a comeback. Sjolberg of Norway goes into 20th and pushes Oscar Svensson, another of the Swedes, out of, well, into 31st place. It's Sweden doing damage to Sweden at the moment. Another Swede in that local club suit, black and orange. Johansson goes through the roughly halfway point in 12th place. Is getting that information. Elia Barp now at risk of being pushed out. Another Swedish athlete. I don't know which suit this is, Posey, but it's...
He lost it as he went into the herringbone. Didn't do that transition and just sort of dropped down, and that's the kind of thing that makes a difference.
Kellis, 19 seconds, 20 seconds down, just about. Who else is out there that at the moment looks like they might have a chance?
I think that you're going to have an absolute phenomenal ski from these bib numbers to come through, but we always do get one or two, so I don't want to preempt anything.
Has Gabe Gledhill started yet? He's in bib number 69, so he should have started, yep. Gledhill, I think, another athlete who has decided to plonk himself in Trondheim, making a bit of a name for himself out in Trondheim, so I understand. With Jonsson goes through and pushes Elia Barp out. Next, it's Xavier Lekiva at risk. Is Gustafsson going to ruin his day? Just outside. Well, actually, I think there's about 10 places in less than a second, is there? Around about 30 to 40 position. Rousset of France.
The Kimball qualifying there, so.
Well, he's happy. Gets to fight today, not another day, but gets to fight again today. 65 is Seve de Campo of Australia. Rosie Bergman, who got a silver medal last week in the Under-23 World Championships from Australia. Fantastic result for the Australian on Friday last week. An Australian coming in, Philip Bellingham. Looking a little tired, to be fair. The tempo is not there.
I don't know. He's been around a long time. He's skiing in my day about 10 years ago.
Born in 91, so that makes him what?
Old man.
Well, younger than me. That's all that matters, really. Here's Skender, and this could be Gabe Gledhill. It is, just coming in behind him. So
pretty good.
How is Gabe doing? We need a time. Oh, it's... well, he's made up a lot of time on Skender, but...
He's outskied his bib number, and actually that's the bibs that by this point in time are your ranking, so each bib is one ranking lower, so he's gone 8 places above his ranking, and I think in a World Cup that's respectable enough.
Ritchie of Canada, 4 athletes behind him, assuming no one has pulled out. It's Graham Ritchie.
Oh, I hope Graham does well. He had that. Was looking like he was starting to be on the up last year and had a bit of a freak injury, a freak accident, broke his leg, and this is his first World Cup back, so yeah, definitely wish him well on that return.
Campo should be next for Australia, and I think he's being caught by Mario Matikanov of Bulgaria, who is himself,
and then
we're
Richie
hoping,
behind,
is being caught by
so.
Graham Ritchie. Yeah, this is good from Ritchie. The time's now not really helping us.
I think he's still going to be outside,
yeah,
unfortunately. But
going to be over 16 seconds, I think. No, it's not. It's not bad, but 47th is going to be disappointing. 11 seconds. So, what are we, about 2 seconds off the pace for Graham?
Yeah, it's always tough to be back after a big layoff. This is a great suit, this Colombian one. We need more yellows.
Frederick Fodstad. A lot of people sitting around that 19-second mark. Peshkov next of Bulgaria. Actually, he's in 78. It's Strolia of Lithuania.
Yeah, a few smaller nations out today. Again, just getting a warm-up in ahead of the World Championships. I think not some of the teams that we don't see week in, week out on the World Cup circuit, but making an appearance today before doing the drive over to Trondheim.
Peshkov, Daniel Peshkov of Bulgaria, coming across the line. And if Adam Buki of Hungary did indeed start today, there's no sign of him at the moment, and he will be the last to finish. Here he comes. So we did have a full contingent of starters, 79 who started, and I think only Olaf Jonsson of Sweden who did a little slightly awkward face plant on the second downhill and finished, but way outside the time that you would have been hoping for.
Down, so we saw him having a little cruise along the line there, actually.
I only laughed then, Posey, because of your face, okay? So I'm not laughing at...
I'm certainly not laughing, yeah.
Olaf Jonsson.
We've all been there.
Effort,
There's nothing
buddy.
more frustrating.
Uh-huh. Here we go then. Once again, it's Johannes Hasford Klabo in quickest time. Eric Valnes, who was quickest 11 months ago, in second. And I think it was Anger in third. It was Yuri Tuz with a very good result again for Czechia in fourth. And Evan Nortug down in fifth. Xavier Makiva just hanging in there in 30th place. 9:32 behind. Svensson is out. Marcus Gratter Evanson is out. A lot of Swedes on that fourth page there. They'll be disappointed. Pushed out by club skiers from Falun, I think, one or two of them. Good effort to them. Andy Young down in 56th. 5 seconds outside of the qualifying time. Gabe Gledhill within 10 seconds. Okay, we'll go to the selections in a moment. Edvin Anger of Sweden, top three in qualification. Looked to me as if he was just saving something. Not at the highest point, but the second of the high points we spotted him, and was way ahead at this checkpoint of Klabo, but Klabo doing what he often does and just being an absolute genius on skis, to be fair. Anger comes across the line third quickest today. Eric Valnes of Norway. We were here for the World Cup final in 2024. Valnes was the quickest in qualifying that day. Today he's second. And I think it's just about, well, just inside 2 seconds of the quickest time, which you'll be more than satisfied with. But it is, once again, it's Norway's sprint superstar, who paced this qualifying race so perfectly, wasn't concerned about what he was being told at the top of this hill when he was a good 4 seconds off the pace, I think, of Edvin Anger. But by the time he crossed the line, he was 3 seconds ahead of him. How do you do that? How on earth do you make up 7 seconds on someone like Edvin Anger and then not need to drop to your knees as you cross the line? Well, 49 athletes who got up today hoping to qualify have not. And 30 now get to choose the heats that they will race in just over an hour's time. Zach Ketterson finishing 11th quickest gets the first choice. Pellegrino joins him in heat number 4. Skivik of Norway. Next will be Chapaz. Sometimes being the lower end of the top 10 is exactly where you want to be, really, if you can pace it.
Yeah, it's a good place to be, and you can just the freedom of going and not worrying about where anyone else is picked, and then start all getting a little bit tactical by the time you get down to sort of number 6, 5 and 4. Everyone avoiding heat 1, as we always see.
Nortug does too. He goes with Pellegrino and Zach Ketterson. Here comes Yuri Turs. He goes in 5.
So is Anger going to go 1 with Nortug? That's the question. No.
Goes with Vernon and Chapaz. That's a tough heat, though, still.
So Valnes and Kleiber, I think, will take 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure, you're right. Next is Kleiber.
But it'll be quick. I think I would go in there. No one listens to me. Every week I say this, Ian, and no one listens to me. But that'll be fast. People should just go for it.
Yep. Totally agree, Posey. I mean, and not only that, but just racing against last year's winner, the best in the world, the best 2, really, in the World Cup standings, in the sprint standings right now, Kleiber and Valnes. You want to be on that start list, don't you? Your name alongside them.
Absolutely.
Simonic is in bib number 14 now. All of the options available, decides to go with Moilanen and Yuri Tuz.
That's a doable heat, to be fair. That's kind of didn't have so many of those top seeds in it, but now it's got that tough kind of a lot of people with a very similar ranking all going in there.
Cuello goes there as well. Okay, they're all looking at who is in the other groups and deciding they've got a better chance if they go in 5. Person of
Shanava go 1. Nope.
Shanava avoids Kleiber and Valnes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Jensen takes the last slot in heat 5.
Filled up quickly. It took a little while to get going, and then filled up pretty rapidly once they started going for it. As ever, Kleiber and Valnes getting a nice easy ride here because
so
no
easy.
one wants to go anywhere near them.
Joni Mäki, come on, Finland, go 1. Nope. He chooses to go where no other Finn has gone yet.
Maybe he'll step up for Ogden. No.
Ooh, I thought Kimball, the youngster, was going to go, I'm up for it, but decided to go in heat 2 with Vuren and Chapaz and Anger. Johansson of Sweden, the only Swede in heat 4. Danielson, where will he go? In 2.
It's going to be 27, 28, 29 and 30 in heat 1, I think.
Remy Bourdon, just get encouraged. I think he's going to go 1.
Yeah.
I think that Pat was like, go for it, it'll be quick. I think the French have a direct line to your WhatsApp feed.
Yeah. Charge reasonable rates if you're interested. There we go, there's another one as well, Merkanic.
Excellent, good. Akala of Finland decides to go in the middle of the field and concludes heat 3.
Someone's forgotten what they need to do.
Where is he?
Oh, he's
Kevin,
agonising.
there he is.
1 or 2.
He's taking advice. Heat 6, he says. Bolger goes in heat number 1 with the stars. Person joins them, and that leaves Xavier McKeever with only one option. No option, really. Goes in heat 2.
Good luck to all the athletes.
Well, there's our 5 heats, the top 30 from today's qualifications. So join us again at 20 past 11, that's 20 past 10 UK time, for the finals today. The women going off first. We'll see you then.